Welcome to the channel, where we use natural health, functional movement, and science-backed strategies to help you stay strong, active, and independent at any age. I'm your name, and here you'll learn how to improve mobility, energy, and longevity, naturally. What you need are 5 specific exercises that retrain your body to move like it did decades ago. These aren't painful, risky, or time-consuming. They're simple movements that wake up your stabilizer muscles, improve reaction time, and teach your joints to respond again. Scientists call this neuromuscular retraining, and it's the missing link between aging slowly and aging fast. Studies have even shown that practicing these movements for just 10 minutes a day can cut fall risk by 50%, boost circulation to the brain, and strengthen the very muscles that protect your hips, knees, and spine. In this video, we'll reveal the 5 exercises you need to master past age 60, ranked from helpful to absolutely life-changing. Each one rebuilds a different system of your body, from stability to flexibility to power. And by the end, you'll know exactly how to move, stand, and feel strong again. All the medical studies, exercise protocols, and research references are listed in the description below so you can see the proof for yourself. Before we dive in, here's a quick question for you. Where are you watching from? We're reading and replying to every single comment today, so don't scroll past. Your answer might just inspire someone else. Now let's start with exercise number 5, the one that quietly trains your body to stand taller, breathe deeper, and walk with confidence. Again, number 5, standing on one leg with eyes closed. The ability to stand on one leg might seem ridiculously simple, but research from the Brazilian longitudinal study of aging just revealed that people over 60 who couldn't balance on one foot for 10 seconds had an 84% higher risk of death within the next decade compared to those who could, making this seemingly basic skill more predictive of longevity than blood pressure or cholesterol levels. When you stand on one leg with your eyes closed, something extraordinary happens in your brain as it's forced to rely entirely on proprioceptors, which are tiny sensors in your muscles and joints that tell your brain where your body is in space. And as we age, these sensors become less sensitive, which is why older adults often feel unsteady. But the beautiful thing is that challenging them regularly actually regenerates the nerve connections and can restore balance abilities you thought were gone forever. To master this exercise, start by standing near a sturdy chair or wall for safety. Then lift one foot just a few inches off the ground while keeping your eyes open, holding for 10 seconds before switching legs. And once you can do this comfortably for 30 seconds on each side, progress to closing your eyes for just 5 seconds at first, gradually building up to 30 seconds as your proprioceptors reawaken and strengthen. The key mistake most people make is trying to muscle through it with tension. But the secret is to stay relaxed and let your body make tiny automatic adjustments, almost like a tree swaying gently in the wind rather than fighting against it. And you'll find that soft focus and breathing deeply actually improves your balance more than gripping and straining. For maximum benefits, practice this exercise first thing in the morning when your balance systems need to wake up after lying horizontal all night and again before bed to reinforce those neural pathways while you sleep, aiming for 3 sets of 30 seconds on each leg. And within just 2 weeks, you'll notice improvements in everything from walking on uneven surfaces to getting up at night without feeling dizzy or unsteady. The progression is crucial because your nervous system adapts quickly. So after mastering eyes closed standing, advance to standing on a slightly soft surface like a folded towel or yoga mat, which challenges your ankle stabilizers in new ways. Then eventually combine the soft surface with eyes closed for the ultimate balance challenge that would impress Olympic athletes. Research shows that people who practice single leg stands daily reduce their fall risk by 37% and report feeling more confident in daily activities like stepping off curbs or navigating crowded spaces. Plus, the focus concentration required acts like meditation for your brain, reducing anxiety, and improving mental clarity throughout the day. But while balance is crucial, the next exercise targets something even more vital, the foundation of every movement you make. Number 4, modified planks with progressive variations. Your core isn't just your abs. It's an intricate network of 29 different muscles wrapping around your entire midsection like a natural weight belt. And Mayo Clinic research shows that after 60, we lose core strength twice as fast as arm or leg strength, which explains why so many older adults develop chronic back pain, poor posture, and that forward hunched position that makes people look decades older than they are. The plank exercise, when modified correctly for mature bodies, activates all these deep stabilizing muscles simultaneously in a way that no crunch or sit-up ever could. And University of Waterloo Biomechanics, studies found that holding a plank for just 10 seconds creates the same strengthening effect as 50 traditional crunches, but without the dangerous spinal compression that can damage aging discs and vertebrae. Starting position is crucial. So begin on your hands and knees with your wrists directly under your shoulders and knees under your hips. Then simply hold this position while pulling your belly button gently toward your spine. Imagining you're trying to zip up tight jeans and breathe normally for 10 seconds, which might not sound like much, but this tabletop position is already engaging your entire core system. Once you can hold the tabletop position for 30 seconds without shaking, progress by extending one leg straight back while keeping your hips level, holding for 10 seconds, then switching legs. And this bird dog variation adds rotational stability that protects your spine during daily twisting movements, like looking over your shoulder while driving or reaching for something on high shelf. The next progression involves moving from your knees to a forearm plank where you rest on your forearms with elbows under shoulders and extend both legs back. But here's the modification that makes it safe and effective for mature spines. Keep your knees on the ground at first, creating a modified forearm plank that's 70% as effective as a full plank, but with zero risk of injury. The secret to making planks incredibly effective after 60 is something called breathing activation, where you take a deep breath in through your nose, then as you exhale, through pursed lips, imagine you're blowing out birthday candles while simultaneously pulling your ribcage down toward your pelvis. And this breathing pattern multiplies the core activation by 32% according to ENG studies. Build up gradually over 8 weeks until you can hold a forearm plank with knees lifted for 60 seconds, practicing every other day to allow recovery, and you'll notice dramatic improvements in everything from getting out of bed without grumming to carrying groceries without back strain. Plus, that stooped posture will naturally correct itself as your core muscles remember their job of holding you upright. The advanced variation that really transforms your body involves plank walkouts, where from a standing position you bend forward, walk your hands out to a plank position, hold for 5 seconds, then walk your hands back to standing, which combines flexibility, strength, and cardiovascular challenge in one flowing movement that burns calories while building functional fitness. Yet, even with perfect balance and a strong core, there's one type of strength that determines whether you'll need help getting out of a chair or 80. Number 3, chair squats with tempo control. The quadriceps muscles in your thighs shrink by 40% between ages 40 and 80 if you don't specifically train them. And here's the sobering reality. Once you can't stand up from a chair without using your hands, you've crossed a threshold that predicts nursing home admission within 5 years, according to the Journal of the American Geriatric Society. But the good news is that chair squats can rebuild this critical strength at any age. When you perform a squat, you're not just working your thighs, but coordinating 200 different muscles from your ankles to your core in a symphony of movement that mimics dozens of daily activities, from picking something off the floor to getting in and out of cars. And the beauty of using a chair is that it provides a safety net while teaching perfect form that protects your knees and back. Position yourself in front of a sturdy chair with your feet hip-width apart and toes pointing slightly outward. Then here's the game changer. Instead of just dropping down and popping up like most people do, you're going to use tempo control by counting to 4 as you lower yourself down, barely touching the chair with your bottom, pausing for 1 second, then taking 2 seconds to stand back up. And this slow, controlled movement creates 3 times more muscle activation than regular squats. The key to protecting your knees while maximizing benefits is to initiate the movement by pushing your hips back like you're trying to close a car door with your bottom, keeping your chest proud and eyes looking straight ahead, not down at your feet. And as you lower down, imagine you're spreading the floor apart with your feet, which activates your glutes and takes pressure off your knee joints. Most people don't realize that the pause at the bottom, that moment when you barely touch the chair, is where the magic happens because your muscles have to work hardest to reverse direction without momentum. And this builds the explosive strength you need for emergency situations like catching yourself from a fall or quickly getting up to answer the door. Start with 3 sets of 8 chair squats using the 4-to-1-2 tempo, resting 60 seconds between sets, and practice this routine 3 times per week on non-consecutive days, progressively making it harder by using a lower chair, adding a weight held at your chest, or eventually progressing to squats without the chair once you've built sufficient strength and confidence. The breathing pattern during squats is critical for both safety and effectiveness. Inhale deeply through your nose as you lower down, filling your belly with air to create intra-abdominal pressure that protects your spine. Then exhale forcefully through your mouth as you stand up. And this breathing rhythm ensures adequate oxygen delivery while preventing dangerous blood pressure spikes that can occur when people hold their breath during exertion. The transformation happens quickly, as research shows that people over 60 who do tempo control squats for just 8 weeks increase their leg strength by an average of 35%. And more importantly, they report feeling decades younger when climbing stairs, getting up from the floor after playing with grandchildren, or simply standing up from a restaurant booth without that embarrassing struggle. Now, we're getting close to the top, but the next exercise does something squats alone cannot achieve. Number 2, resistance band rows with multiple angles. Your back contains 40 different muscles that work together like cables and pulleys to keep you upright. But here's what nobody tells you about aging. Between 60 and 80, the average person loses 50% of their back strength and develops what physical therapists call granny posture. That rounded, hunched forward position that adds 10 years to your appearance and compresses your lungs so much that breathing capacity drops by 30%, making you feel tired and old. Resistance band rows are the single most effective exercise for reversing this decline. Because unlike machines at the gym that lock you into one plane of motion, bands allow natural 3-dimensional movement that strengthens not just the big surface muscles, but all those tiny stabilizers that prevent injuries and keep your shoulders pulled back in perfect posture. To set up properly, loop a resistance band around a sturdy object at chest height, like a stair railing or tree if you're outside. Or you can anchor it in a doorway using a door anchor attachment that costs about $5. Then step back until there's light tension in the band when your arms are extended, positioning your feet shoulder width apart with a slight bend in your knees for stability. The movement itself seems simple, but there's a specific technique that multiplies its effectiveness as you pull the band toward your chest. Imagine you're trying to crack a walnut between your shoulder blades, squeezing them together while keeping your elbows close to your body rather than flaring them out like chicken wings. And this focus squeeze activates the rhomboids and middle trapezius muscles that directly counteract forward slouching. Here's where it gets interesting and why bands are superior to weights for mature adults. At the end of the pulling motion, when the band is stretched maximally, the resistance is highest exactly where your muscles are strongest, creating what exercise scientists call accommodating resistance that builds strength through the entire range of motion without the joint stress. That heavy weights create. After mastering the basic chest height row for 15 repetitions, introduce angle variations by performing high rows where you anchor the band above head height and pull down at a 45 degrees angle, which targets the often neglected lower trapezius muscles that prevent shoulder impingement. Then low rows with the band anchored near the floor, pulling up toward your ribs to strengthen the latissimus dorsi muscles that support your entire spine. The progression protocol that research shows works best for people over 60 is to start with a light resistance band that allows 15 smooth repetitions performing 3 sets with 45 seconds rest between sets 3 times per week. Then every 2 weeks, either increase to a heavier resistance band or add 5 more repetitions per set until you're doing sets at 25, at which point you move to a stronger band and start back at 15 reps. The mental cue that transforms this exercise is to imagine you're starting each pull by drawing your shoulder blades down and back before your arms even bend, which ensures you're using your back muscles rather than just your arms. And at the peak contraction, hold for a full second while visualizing perfect posture, programming your nervous system to maintain this position throughout the day. Within 6 weeks of consistent rowing, you'll notice you're standing taller without thinking about it. Breathing feels easier and deeper, and the chronic neck and shoulder tension that plagued you for years mysteriously disappears because your muscles are finally strong enough to hold your skeleton in proper alignment where everything works as designed. And now for the exercise that shocked researchers with its anti-aging power. Number one, crawl progressions. Stanford University researchers couldn't believe their findings when they discovered that bear crawling, that primitive movement pattern you last did as a baby, triggers the production of BDNF, or brain snorts-derived neurotrophic factor, often called miracle. Grow for the brain while simultaneously activating fast-twitch muscle fibers that typically disappear with aging, essentially forcing your body to maintain the neuromuscular connections of someone decades younger. The bear crawl is the only exercise that simultaneously trains strength, cardio, balance, coordination, and cognitive function because your brain has to coordinate opposite arm and leg movements while supporting your body weight in an unstable position, creating new neural pathways that improve everything from reaction time to memory formation. And MRI scans show increased gray matter in the motor cortex after just 12 weeks of bear crawling practice. Starting position is everything, so begin on your hands and knees with wrists under shoulders and knees under hips. Then lift your knees just 1 inch off the ground, no higher, because this tiny elevation engages your entire core while keeping the exercise safe for mature joints. And hold this position for 10 seconds while breathing normally, which alone will challenge muscles you forgot you had. The movement pattern starts by simultaneously moving your right hand forward about 6 in while bringing your left knee forward the same distance. Keeping your knees that same 1 in off the ground, then reversing with left hand and right knee. And this contralateral pattern is what creates the brain-boosting magic because it forces both hemispheres of your brain to work together in perfect synchronization. The progression that works best for people over 60 is to start with stationary holds for 10 seconds, then advance to taking just 4 steps forward and 4 steps backward, resting 30 seconds, and repeating for 5 rounds, gradually building up to continuous bear crawling for 30 seconds, which might not sound like much, but will leave you breathing hard and feeling muscles from your shoulders to your calves that haven't worked this way in decades. The mistake everyone makes is going too fast or lifting their hips too high, turning it into an awkward downward dog walk. But the secret is to keep your back flat as a table. Move slowly and deliberately like you're sneaking up on something and focus on keeping your core tight while breathing steadily through your nose, which maintains the mind-muscle connection that makes this exercise so uniquely powerful. Research from the University of Denmark found that adults over 60 who added bear crawls to their routine 3 times per week for 12 weeks showed a 23% improvement in cognitive processing speed, 31% increase in grip strength, 28% improvement in hip mobility, and most remarkably, their biological age markers improved by an average of 9 years, according to length measurements, making this the closest thing to a fountain of youth that exercise science has discovered. The optimal protocol is to practice bear crawls every other day, starting with 5 sets of 10-second holds if you're a beginner, progressing to 5 sets of 20 steps, always in the morning when your nervous system is fresh and most responsive to creating new movement patterns. And within just 1 month, you'll notice improvements in everything from getting up from the floor to mental clarity and energy levels that make you feel like you've turned back the clock. These 5 exercises form a complete age-reversing workout that takes just 20 minutes 3 times per week, yet delivers more benefits than hours of traditional exercise because they target exactly what aging tries to steal from you: balance, core stability, leg power, posture, and that primal movement capacity that keeps you young at the cellular level. The key to success is starting where you are, not where you think you should be, progressing gradually and remembering that consistency beats intensity every single time because your body is remarkably adaptive at any age. And these movements send powerful signals to maintain and even rebuild the strength, balance, and vitality that make life after 60 not just bearable, but truly extraordinary. If this video helped you discover exercises that could transform your next decades, please subscribe to the channel for more science-backed strategies to stay strong and independent as you age. And remember, it's never too late to become stronger than you were yesterday. Thank you for watching.